In my last video, I was talking about why the work isn't working, but I totally forgot this one point that I remembered today, thus why I'm here recording sans makeup, sitting on the floor of my room in Bali, because this may be even more important than the points that I made in the first video. So if you haven't watched the first video, I'll put it on the end card of this video for you to watch after because the points in there are still relevant. But this one is more important to the whole process of manifestation. I don't even really like calling it a process because it's not, it's just a decision. But for most people, until they get to the point where they're able to just feel fine and trust easily in being able to go, okay, that's what I want. I've chosen it. I'm going to live my life and know that it's happening for me via the most efficient route. Until you get there, it does feel like a process. It does feel like a journey. And really, when it comes to manifestation, there is no like nobody's ever 100% perfect. Do you know what I mean? So, anyway, slight tangent. Before I continue with the video, hey legends, my name is Cerise. I'm your self agency and manifestation mentor, and I help you decipher the nuances of manifestation from both the law of assumption and the law of attraction, because a lot of the information out there is either overcomplicated or oversimplified, and I've learned a lot of things the hard way so you don't have to. All the ways in which you can work with me, right from my 22-page freebie ebook, The Simple as Fuck manifestation guide ebook. Ridiculously long name. Don't know why I called it that. All the way to one-to-one coaching and everything in between, like workshops and, of course, the what's it called? Cheat Code Academy membership. So if you want to be on the next intake of that, the doors are currently closed to new members, but the wait list is linked below if you're watching this video around the time that it's posted. Those are all linked below. Did I mention they were linked below? They're linked below. If you get anything positive out of this video, it clarifies anything for you, anything lands or clicks for you, don't forget to like, share, comment, and or subscribe. And if you'd like to comment below just to help me with the algorithm, but you don't know what to comment, just put a sparkle emoji because we're clitorating. Oh my God. We're creating literal real life fucking magic on this channel. So probably the main reason why the work isn't working to help you experience your manifestation is because in your mind, you think doing the work or the way to get the thing that you want is by being someone new. And that's not really what's happening. What manifestation is really all about is reminding yourself who the fuck you inherently are. You're inherently worthy of deserving of allowed to have everything you want. You are the god of your reality. You are the universe, right? And the reason you haven't been able to have or hold on to the things that you wanted in the past is because you've forgotten who the fuck you are. Things have happened in the past. People have said things in the past. We've experienced things in the past, whatever it is. We don't really need to dwell on that, not to invalidate what you're feeling, but that's not what we're addressing in this video. Something's happened that led to you forgetting, doubting, questioning who you are, what you can have, what you can accomplish, who you can be. And when a lot of people come to this information about conscious manifestation, which like everyone's always manifesting, right? Some people just don't go through the kinds of things that lead to them to looking for answers as to how to live a happier life or have the things they want, which leads people to the manifestation thing. Some people are just living their lives believing that they can have what they want or refusing to believe that they can't have what they want. And they don't need to call it anything. They're living a life that they're happy enough with or content enough with that they don't feel the need to look into how to do those things. But when a lot of people do come across this information, and a lot of information does say it as well, they start to think that they have to create a new version of themselves to be able to get the thing, person, or situation that they want. And that's not the case. And often thinking that you need to do that leads to people applying logic to a mechanism or a thing that's happening in the background, whatever you want to call it, that isn't logical. Manifestation isn't logical. So, whatever you're trying to be using logic to think about what kind of person would be able to have the things that you want, oftentimes that is you being even more inauthentic or just as inauthentic as you were when you couldn't have or hold on to the things that you wanted. So when you apply things to your practice or work or whatever that you want to think of it as, such as my manifestation cheat codes, right? So, nervous system regulation work, self concept work, including treating yourself how you want to be treated, not just your I am affirmations, as well as feel good things, doing things that you enjoy that are unrelated or seemingly unrelated to your manifestation. You naturally start to remember who the fuck you are, or just naturally behave more like your authentic self without having to overthink how you do that or how you become the version of you that has the thing. You naturally just start to shift into that version of yourself. The things, people, and situations that you want to experience line up with who you authentically are. If you want to experience them in the most flowing, calm, cool, calm, collected way via the most efficient route, those things match up with who you really are. Can you achieve them or attain them or experience them in other ways? Yes, you can, but they are going to feel like more work. And things like the cheat codes are going to feel like work initially because you are changing your neural pathways, you are changing your physiology, literally. And it takes less energy to continue firing off the same neurons that you've been operating from on autopilot all this time than it does to create new neural pathways. When you're building something new, that uses more energy. But eventually, once that new autopilot is created, those new neural pathways have been created, that new association that we're creating with the um, cheat codes as well in your physiology, that positive, more neutral feeling association with the thoughts of the thing that you want and already having it, when that becomes your new autopilot, then those things are things that you do naturally. You naturally treat yourself how you want to be treated without having to think about it, without it feeling like there's any effort behind it, because it's got that momentum behind it. It's on autopilot, it's your new default programming. You naturally choose to do the things that you enjoy over sitting at home, rocking and crying in the fetal position, anxiously affirming for the things that you want, because you're taking a lot of the pressure off your manifestation to be the thing that you derive happiness from, because you're deriving happiness from other things in your life that you can experience joy from right now. And that becomes more enjoyable, funnily enough. Doing things that you enjoy that are unrelated to the things that make you feel anxious is more enjoyable. Why would you not want to continue doing those things? Nervous system regulation work, you just start to feel so good from doing the nervous system regulation work that you don't necessarily have to do it every day. Although I do think humans should just do it every day, because the real magic of nervous system regulation work comes from doing it between the moments where you need it, and it has an accumulative effect. And I would say, even though I don't consciously do nervous system regulation every day, I do naturally do things like physiological sighs now. My body has gone back to, if you look to a child that is trying to calm themselves down, they naturally do a physiological sigh without anyone telling them what a physiological sigh is, right? You see kids kind of do that with like, okay, those things kind of happen naturally. And then I have my things like the Wim Hof beginner's guided breathing on YouTube that you can access for free as my reset. But I'm pretty much in a very cool, calm, collected state most of the time. But we're not meant to feel that way all the time, because anxiety is there to help steer us away from the things that are not in line with our manifestation, and also away from things that may be an actual true threat to our human experience, existence, right? And I always say, I know when you come to law of assumption and you hear me, who teaches law of assumption, say, do these extra things that are not just thinking line with already having what you want, a lot of people, A, get triggered because law of assumption, the stripped down modernized law of assumption that gets taught by a lot of people who are parroting all of that these days, which I did as well, not to shit on anyone. I did that when I first came to it, because I can relate to people who were like, what? I don't have to feel positive at all, which you don't, but it helps. What? I don't have to feel positive at all. I just have to overthink like I already do, but just overthink instead in line with already having what I want. Okay, sweet. Well, that led to the burnout that I'm not going to go into in this video. I will direct you on the end card of this video to that video as well, where I talk about the toxic side of law of assumption as someone who teaches law of assumption. When you come from that, people telling you that, and come across someone like myself who is saying, and I'm seeing a lot of people talk about this more, whether it's because They experienced what I experienced, but they were too scared to talk about adding things to your practice like what I talk about because they thought people wouldn't watch their videos because everyone is following all the people who say, just think in line, just affirm and persist through your anxiety. And they were scared, which is a limiting belief, right? Scared that they wouldn't get video views or whatever if they didn't go along with that. And now that some people are saying, like, hey, fuck, I learned the hard way, like I'm telling you guys, they feel more comfortable to do so, or whether they're experiencing the same thing that I experienced myself now, and that's why they're talking about it. Whatever the motivation is, it's a positive thing overall. Tangent, tangent, tangent. I know that when you come across me and I say add these the math ain't nothing, 3 things to your practice, it seems overwhelming. It's like when I've just been told that I just have to think in line with already having what I want, why would I add 3 more things to my practice? That seems like a lot. You've quadrupled the work that I need to do. But if that is the case, what I would say is start with the nervous system regulation work, even though the cheat codes all work together synergistically, build off each other, make each other stronger, and overlap a lot as well. Just start with the nervous system regulation work because once you deal with a lot of that anxiety in your physiology, the other 2 things are not going to feel as overwhelming to do. And when you feel good from doing the nervous system regulation work, the cheat code, like the feel good things cheat code, is going to be more appealing because you're like, oh, I actually like feeling better. This is actually a much nicer way to experience my life rather than rocking in the fetal position, crying and anxiously affirming. I don't know why that's the example I always use, but that's the visualization that I get of a lot of you, even though I know that's not what everyone's doing and it's not what I did. But some of you, I reckon that is probably what's happening. And I'm not saying that to laugh at you. I had my own way of experiencing the same feelings, and that's what I don't want you to experience. Or I don't want you to get to the point where those feelings lead to the burnout that I experienced. So let's nip that shit in the bud before it even gets to that point. Okay. And again, when you build this new autopilot, it's going to come naturally to you to not just follow the things that seem like the logical link to your manifestation, because oftentimes those are things that when you think about doing them, you don't feel good about it. You feel anxious about it. And you think that that's because you're going to feel better when you go to where you think that person's going to be, for example. Because if you want to be with them, why would it not make sense to go where you know they're going to be, right? But when you are more regulated and everything, you're not going to need to be where they are to try and seek validation of your manifestation of being with them. You're going to know or just go like trust the feeling of like, I don't really want to go and I know and trust that they are my person and we are in a happy, healthy, long-term committed relationship without me needing to go to this thing today where I know they're going to be. And your higher self has a bird's eye view of everything that's going on, right? Creation is already done. Past, present, and future, and every combination of past, present, and future is already done, already exists, which is why revision is not necessary. Because a lot of times you just want to do revision because you think you have to change the past in order for your future to be different, but you don't. There is a version of the future where you get everything you want with the exact same past that you've experienced. I can't remember where I was going with that, but I also want to give you an example where we do, sometimes I like to give you like, okay, if we applied logic to this, just to help you understand how things could be happening in the background without you realizing, right? If you're always affirming that someone is wondering what you're doing all the time, and yet you make sure you're always where they are and you're always telling them in text messages, like initiating conversations with them in text messages because you're worried that if you don't initiate the conversation, they're not going to initiate the conversation. But if you're always initiating, they can't initiate because that's 2 different realities, right? Same thing as like wanting them to wonder what's going on with you and miss you and everything, but you're always going where they are. They don't have a chance to wonder what you're up to. They know because you're always there. They don't have a chance to miss you. They know because you're always there. Now, again, manifestation is not logical, but that will help you understand how the logical link in your mind, thinking from the human experience and not from your higher self, or trusting from you that your higher self knows how to steer you via the most efficient route to your manifestation, how you can make decisions that ultimately backfire and like that is choosing the reality that you don't want while affirming for the one that you do. And this is why I teach both, like a combination of the law of assumption and the law of attraction, is because even though when I came across the law of assumption, I got really pissed off about the law of attraction, talking so much about just like live your life doing what feels good and trust and believe that everything that you want is yours, and misses kind of a lot of the mindset piece and doesn't really talk too much about nervous system regulation, although it does talk about meditation quite a lot, which is a way of regulating your nervous system. It's not my preferred way of regulating my nervous system. It's too vague. And what I do appreciate about the law of attraction now is, whilst it doesn't really tell you how to get to the point of being able to just trust and enjoy your life, that is, once you can get to that point, which is what I teach you how to get there and combine all these things, right? To get to that place, it is the much nicer way of experiencing what you want, but it's also the most like helps you get to your manifestation, move into the reality where your manifestation is already yours more efficiently in a sustainable way. That is to clarify, you can will something into existence immediately, but if all those other things that I've talked about haven't changed, it's not going to last, right? And that's why doing both is important. The law of assumption and the law of attraction, that is to say. Because whilst you can manifest something and instantly by willing it into existence, it's the longer way to getting what you want sustainably for most people when you keep self-sabotaging it by not addressing your physiology, for example, and simply doing the mindset piece, pushing it away, avoiding it as it starts to come close, or self-sabotaging it once it is in your life. And then doing that therefore reinforces the limiting belief you had in the first place that said that you couldn't have a hold onto it, making it feel more overwhelming to manifest back in. And then you keep doing that cycle where it's out, it's in, but it's harder each time. It's more defeating. Eventually, burnout's going to happen. It's just not for most people going to be enough to simply will it into existence and for it to last. But if you can have a little bit of patience, and really it's not going to feel like you need patience when you're doing the cheat codes, because you're going to be doing other things that make you feel good, so you don't need your manifestation to make you feel good. You can still want it, but you don't need it. When you get to that point where you feel like, yeah, I still want that, but I don't feel like I need it anymore, that is a really good place to be. Anyway, I've gone off on plenty of tangents, and what I really wanted to just clarify in this video is your desires, the things that you really want, line up with who you really are. So don't worry about trying to figure out who you need to be in order to have the thing, personal situation you want, because you're not going to be able to, like 99.99999999999% of the time, you're not going to be able to orchestrate that version of you. But when you do the cheat codes, you're not going to even feel the need to figure all of that out, the how, the when, the who you have to be, and you're just going to naturally start doing what is authentic to you, and that is going to line you up on the most efficient route to your manifestation.